Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. 5 dead lives.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam Johnston.
And I'm Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror. And today we have
I'm Kenna.
Yay!
Right on cue.
I love it.
Perfect. Welcome, Kenna.
Thank you.
Welcome
I'm
to the
happy to
podcast.
be here.
So what did we watch, Sam?
What did we just watch? We just watched Lamb from 2021, directed by Vladimir Johannsson and written by Vladimir Johannsson and Sjon.
Sjon.
A childless couple, María and Ingvar, discover a mysterious newborn on their farm in Iceland. The unexpected prospect of a family life brings them much joy before ultimately destroying them. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, darn. Well, I think that this movie was made in Iceland. So the setting alone, I think, was something that really added to the horror of this, of what made it. It was so vast. Like, I wrote down the word vastness so many times when I was watching it. And at a certain point, it felt like, because things were so open and so empty and vast, that almost seemed like trapping, isolating, like really, you felt alone.
Yeah.
Things felt super alone, and they were super alone in this tiny little farm.
Both mentally and physically. They just it was just them two, and you can tell that they had been just them for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You could definitely see that they had just been those two.
Yeah, they
by
were
themselves.
roommates at that point. They were just kind of like...
No, love. You couldn't really, in the beginning at least, you couldn't really see the love between the both of them, which, you'd think, oh, it's just the two of them out here, so.
Yeah, and I think this movie's talking about, I think, a couple different things, but one of the things I think is talking about is definitely the monotony sometimes that you fall into when you're with someone for a really long time, and kind of the fear of that. And then what do a lot of couples do to fix that is have a kid. This will solve our problems, but this is kind of very sad, which is very sad because, that's the child is being used as something that's for them, kind of like a selfish reason.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, so it's not their fault, it's not the kid's fault that the parents have issues and that they were used as a tool to try to solve that. And so then this movie kind of takes that and is like, okay, how can we make that into a horror movie? How can we take that and make it dangerous?
Yeah.
It was very well done. It was very cool.
It was very cinematically pleasing too. It was very beautiful to watch, and and you're right, it was kind of scary, eerie almost.
Yeah.
The where they filmed it. So
these people are raising sheep.
Yes.
This is their livelihood.
Yeah.
So for them to then have a miracle, a gift be brought to them in the sense of their livestock, essentially, is, yes, it's strange.
You reap what you sow, in a sense.
Ooh.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
From the top.
Make it drop. That's some wet-ass pussy. Very wet.
Very wet. We start on Christmas.
Aww,
Yes.
We start on
time.
Christmas.
It's Christmas.
And super snowy tundra.
Yeah.
Just we're going through this winter storm, essentially.
Yeah.
And we see a huddle of horses that you're talking about.
2 ones.
Icelandic.
And it's moving towards this barn. And I wrote down there's heavy breathing going on in the background.
Grunting, just...
Yeah, constantly.
I think I did that great.
That was pretty good.
It was a good one.
Yeah,
It was a
thank you
good
very
I
reenactment.
was there again. And we're led into the sheep barn.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell the sheep are kind of getting skittish about whatever's coming in and whatever's approaching. We hear the footsteps approaching. And then a sheep just comes out and lays down in the middle of the stable, and that's about
Just
it.
kind of
Merry
looks
Christmas.
a little bit
Merry
passed
Christmas.
out.
A little bit passed out. I don't know if it was pregnant then or if it was now kind of offering
I'm
itself
kind of
up.
starting to put some things together in my mind now that you're saying these things.
Yeah, and I think this sheep had just gotten. Is it rape? At this point,
Like,
I don't know.
she
I think so. I mean, it is a sheep.
Yeah.
It's an animal. I mean, okay, so another big question of this movie is like the line between human and animal.
yes.
Obviously, and the mixture of that, what happens when you do that,
Mhm.
mess with nature somewhat. But an animal is just an animal and can't really give consent in that way, right?
Exactly.
So that is at least bestiality.
Yeah. I'd say at least halfway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
And like just thinking about like the use of sheep too, because we said that they're sheep farmers, so they do use them for their livelihood to get money and to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are also using their livestock to have a kid. Like they take that from them too. And what can a sheep really do? You know? And we see it later that they can't do anything.
They
Nothing.
can't.
No, it's just an animal. So they're able to use them as like a commodity rather than even like a living thing.
Yeah.
And as much as they really do care for them, you can see that they're not monsters with them. But then there is this like element of folktale to it. And when I'd seen it before, and the whole time I'm like thinking, well, what story, what kind of like thing are they trying to teach us?
Mm-hmm.
And I essentially is just like, don't fuck animals, because then you'll create a thing that shouldn't be living.
Yeah.
I think
Right?
it goes
Is that
back,
what it was? I don't
think
know.
yes. In so many words, it's like
Yeah.
don't fuck with nature, or else
Yeah.
nature's gonna fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know, this is a man human trying to control the laws of nature because of what happened in this couple's life and their trauma. It pushed them to try to change the past essentially and get a kid, and they were gonna try to change the laws of nature to do that, and they did. And I think that this movie is like very much a cautionary folklore fairy tale kind of esque of kind of say, if you try to fuck with the laws of nature, they're gonna fuck right back with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also kind of right in the beginning. Do you remember how they were saying something about time traveling and going back in time? It also kind of, with what you just said, it's kind of wrapping that together.
That's the first line we hear our characters say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like reading a magazine. He's like, time travel is possible now. And then it's like, and then he's like, I'm not too much of a hurry to see the future.
Yeah.
And she was like, she looks unsettled.
Yeah.
There's
She
a
did
lot.
look a little unsettled.
There's a lot that is said without any words.
Correct. That's most of this movie. I mean, very
It was
little
very quiet.
talking. The beginning, and also what's kind of nice is they break up this movie into chapters too.
Yes.
So in this first chapter, we very much get established who our main characters are, which are Maria and Ingvar, the sheep farmers, and very, very little talking between them, and just in their daily life in general, because they're farmers. They have their routine. He's tending to the sheep in the barn. She's on the tractor, like turning the soil, getting it ready to plant. And they're just kind of settled, you know? And in that conversation that they have, he's kind of like extremely content with his life. You know, he's like, I'm not in a hurry to go to the future.
Yeah.
She's the one that kind of seems like, she brings up the whole fact of, but you can also go to the past.
Yes.
Meaning, does she have some sort of regrets of things that she has done or hasn't done?
Or maybe she wants to go back to a certain time, too.
Where it was maybe like a little bit easier on them. Happier.
This first part is very much, it's very slow and it's very pretty. Obviously, we're seeing how they work. And it's also, because we've just come from Christmas and the winter, it's starting to move towards spring. You know, they're getting ready for things to grow again.
Mm-hmm.
And lambs are having baby, or sheep are having lambs.
We see actual birth.
You see it.
We see it.
They do. The actors
Holy
do it.
shit.
They kind of grab them out, help them out.
Yeah.
They really did that shit.
It was a little graphic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That was honestly, like, for me, the grossest part of the movie. It was like, oh my god, that's wild. It was authentic. It was real, which made the film feel even more authentic too. And also, I mean, it's kind of it's this amazing thing that we're seeing because we don't have that much experience with this, but it's also just their work. You know, they're used to this. They're, you know, they've done this before, and then at the end of the day, you know, they go to bed and it's just like they wake up and the next day it's the same routine.
They do it all over again.
Do it all over again.
Yeah.
Another note in general is they're both very good, and especially in a movie where we have very little talking and things are so dependent on a look or, you know, not a look, you know, what they don't say. I think they both do a very, very good job.
Oh, yeah.
And also the uncle that's eventually comes in, he also does a very good job of, there's so much weight, there's so much obviously that's happened in all of their relationships, but they don't talk about it.
No.
You can just feel it.
And that's like a really smart thing too for this director to have decided to have majority of the movie just be silence. Because not a lot of people like reading subtitles. Not a lot of people want to see a foreign movie. So, I don't know. Like, I thought it was really great because you could also just get a lot from those silent moments as opposed to...
I really enjoyed it. I was like, I was really into it, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I think, too, like, that feels more real to me because we wouldn't have a conversation about, like, unloading our backstory of what we did together and like our child died and you and I had a relationship. Like, people don't talk about that stuff. So it makes it feel so much more real that we're just living with these people and they have the weight of all this truth just in the air.
Because why would a husband, or I don't know, I mean, they're married, right? Or they're just together. Like, why would they talk about this thing that they were clearly there for? You know?
Right.
So, like, for us to just, like, be grabbing... I loved your, like, as we were going through the movie, you're like, this is what happens. Oh my God, that is sorry. No, you're good. No. I love that because that, like, has you really focused and you're paying attention, but, you know, this movie absolutely throws you in for a loop.
It definitely does. It was not what I was expecting.
Because I think it's supposed to make you feel like it's gonna go one way, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, we've gotten enough of these characters for our opinions about them, and then it just like turns out.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
No,
actually, I was wrong.
Oh, very wrong. You know, they're going through their day to day, but then what kind of turns is this odd birth that happens, and I really like how they kind of piecemeal this information out over the next couple scenes, because what happens is they go to help one of the sheep give birth, and you know, they pull it out, and then there's just like a strange look that they have on their face. We don't see the lamb after it's pulled out, but we see their reactions, and they're
like tearing up.
Yeah, they're very shocked. I think also because they probably knew they know which sheeps have been pregnant. Yes. So for this one for them to have not known, and then for it to give birth to this thing that they are just don't look all that comfortable with, but without them saying a single word, they exactly knew what to do. And I mean, and I think it was more of Maria's part of her being like, all right then, I'm gonna brace this one.
Yeah.
For some reason. And then that little lamb is just bundled up the whole time for a while.
Yeah.
We only see a little lamb head. She takes the lamb into their house, which you kind of at a certain point said we've only ever seen. They don't let the dog in the house. They don't let any other animals in the house except for the cat.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to bring the lamb into the house, that's definitely like, okay, why that
Why
lamb?
does that
this
one
one?
get to come in?
Why that one?
And then also, like, we had seen the birth of the other 2 or 3
Yes,
that...
we saw them kind of land on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but we didn't get to see this one.
Not this one.
Yeah.
And also, you know, animals eat the placenta because it has a lot of nutrients and stuff. And they didn't allow this mama sheep to do that for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely just stripped that sheep from the mama.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was just like,
It was
Yay!
kind of sad.
It was
It was
sad.
sad to watch.
Yeah.
It
I
was
know.
really sad. They're like, we see a shot of of Ingvar taking out a crib. Like, it was like a crib that was in storage.
In storage.
Yes.
So there's a reason, obviously, they had a crib. That kind of, I think, shot established they probably at one point had a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not in a little bit because it was in storage. And then the little sheep has got its own little setup in
their
crib,
bedroom.
in their bedroom, right next to them. And again, we've only seen the head. It's all bundled up. So right now it just seems like a special lamb for some reason that they were like, let's take this one.
I thought maybe it was like at first I didn't have any background of this movie before coming in and watching it. So I kind of thought maybe it was like a premature lamb. Maybe they just needed to kind of nurse it back until they could give it back to the mama.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, no.
And
it's...
we do see, unfortunately, that mama lamb like buying at the window of their bedroom because she knows that its baby's in there.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It was sad.
There is a shot that I want to talk about after the birth of the sheep and then Maria taking the sheep inside. He then goes and fills up the bucket of water for the sheep. And this movie does this several times where characters are looking at themselves in the mirror. And that to me, or like seeing the reflection, and I think that tells a lot. But I think at that point he's like wondering, like, can we take care of this baby? Like, are we going to be the parents of this sheep? And can we do it again?
Yeah.
You know? Because I think both of them were desperate and hurt from what had happened. Because you had mentioned that there's some tension. Without them even saying anything, there was just this heavy tension. They weren't being mean to each other.
No.
They were just kind of going about their lives, kind of very just like ghosts in their space. And you could just feel this absence of something there beyond just love. So that reflection of him just staring at himself was very powerful.
Absolutely. And they constantly go back to reflections in water and mirrors and windows.
Yeah.
I think it also kind of goes to, like, again, this mixture of man and beast, because you're looking at a reflection, and sometimes we saw reflections of the sheep too in the water or the mirror or window or whatever. So is what's staring back at you a human, or is it an animal?
Beast.
Is it? Yeah. And we see an actual personification of man and beast together at some point. So where's the line?
Oh.
Where's the line?
How desperate are you?
But there is also like this moment after they take the sheep into their house and they start to take care of it as their own child, setting up the crib. And, Ingvar, I think, has this moment of doubt of, can he do this? Because there's also that moment of like him in the tractor. He this after the birth and, and he just like breaks down.
Starts crying,
in the tractor. I think there too, he's thinking, can we do this? Like, can I accept this
as my child?
Yeah, because he goes back, he goes into the tractor after he had seen Maria cradling the sheep, just kind of like I think this is the point where it was like fully she has accepted that this is a baby,
Mhm.
and she's like doing the movements of a baby, you know, and then she like turns around and he was like, and then she goes back to like kind of rocking the baby,
Yeah.
and then he goes in there and starts having a big old
Man cry!
man cry.
Can we do this? Can I raise a lamb child?
Lamb child.
Can I do this with you?
Because I don't even think he was disturbed by what the
No.
baby was. I think he was just like, are we going to go through this again? Because it is a big risk of having a kid.
Yeah.
It's like like there's so many things that could happen to the child.
Yeah. Well,
It's scary.
yeah, and they've both gone through this before and have had suffered a tragedy with a child before. So, am I going to be able to commit to a kid again and put myself out there to be hurt like that again?
Yeah.
I mean, losing a kid, like, Jesus Christ, like, that's like the
can't even
worst thing you can
No,
possibly.
I can't.
Do you want to put yourself in the position to possibly go through that again?
Yeah.
And I think that she immediately takes the child, and I'm a mother again.
She is
no question.
Yeah,
no
she
question.
assumes the role.
He has a moment of reflection
Ooh.
of, can we do this? Can we fucking do this? But then I think what ultimately makes his decision is they lose Ada for like a second. Like
Yes.
she leaves because she says she's going out, which is just to the other side of the property.
Yeah.
We
There's
thought
no
she was
getting
going to
out.
Yeah,
town.
we thought that she was
No.
going to town. I was like,
yes,
yeah.
we get to see it.
Party girl. No.
No.
Just to like the far barn. or
Literally
whatever.
working.
She's on the tractor.
On the tractor and leaves Ingvar with Ada,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if we said that's what they've been calling the lamb.
Yeah.
That's the name they've given it.
Yes,
Right
yes,
on.
yes.
Ada's gone.
Yeah.
And they have this moment which I think that they both kind of experienced this before. There was like almost this like automatic, like we've been in this situation before. Ingvar's like, I'll go check by the river, and she's like checking the property. She's yelling Ada, and
That was an establishing indicator that this is a reason why Ingvar.
Ingvar.
It's a hard name.
I mean, I just write down
Yeah.
Ingvar.
Ingvar. That's when I knew this is how they lost their child.
Mhm.
And like he blames himself because
Yeah.
he must have done something very similar. Even though Maria does not blame him. Not a
No.
single
Doesn't seem
time
like it.
does she ever like indicated even through her physicality that like she was blaming him at all.
No,
Mhm.
I do realize though, before she left to say she was going out, he was saying he was also going to go out, maybe to the other side. And do you remember how she said, like, no, stay and watch her?
Mhm.
It's almost like maybe she was like, no, this has happened before. Like, maybe you should just stay and watch her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like he did.
There's no blaming of
No.
each other. Like he doesn't blame her, she doesn't blame
No.
him at all. I think plenty of blame is being put on themselves by like they're blaming. They each have their own reasons to blame themselves for
Yeah.
whatever happened, and I think they're both desperate to just try to replace that thing that they lost.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like that's an interesting choice. Because I feel like movies like where there's a loss of a child, it's almost exclusively like they blame each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just very interesting that neither of them do that.
No.
They're that's
just
a choice.
Yeah, and I think it's just like, how can you when you're with that person 24/7? Like there's only one other person that is maybe coming in and out whenever he is in trouble.
Yeah.
But like besides that, they are just with each other all the time.
You have to be with this
All
person.
right.
So
I can't
Yeah.
believe they didn't, like, drive each other crazy.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
yep.
Man.
Yeah, they were in it. I mean, one thing I'll say about their relationship, they were committed to it for sure.
Yeah.
They were definitely committed to staying in that relationship and on that farm and working.
They're
Yeah.
also coworkers.
Exactly.
They're coworkers.
Yeah. They're business
They're
partners.
together. They're business partners, so they have to kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ugh,
And they both
well,
want a kid.
And they
And-
both want a kid.
So they're going to make this work. In this moment, when they do finally find Ada, it's like the mother lamb or the mother sheep that's like kind of protecting the little baby lamb human thing, which this is the first reveal that
Yes.
it is a half lamb, half baby, human baby. Is the first look that we have of this mashup.
Yeah.
Which
shit
is like, oh
picks them up.
shit,
mhm.
okay, little baby lamb
Mhm.
thing.
I wonder what the mama sheep was trying to do at that moment when
I
they
wonder
like
if
found
she
her.
just wanted to see her, you know, just like make sure she was okay.
Like feed her.
Feed
you
her,
know.
yeah. Like I feel like that's their duty, their job as like mama sheep, and she didn't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
It was her instinct.
Yeah,
It was her
yeah.
instinct to do that. Yeah. And because there was really no fight from that sheep when they
No.
took back Ada. I mean, she tried to follow them, but then quickly Maria turns around and screams like almost animalistically, "Go away!"
Yeah.
Go away.
That scared me.
It kind of hurt a little bit. I was like, hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was, I mean, it's that whole thing of like, you are no longer her mom.
I know.
Go away.
I wrote down something where it was like, oh gosh, where was it? It was talking, I just saying like, you know, she kind of Maria accepted that responsibility of like being the mother of this, and it kind of reflected on like, you as a mom would do anything for your child.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like picked up on a little bit of that throughout the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
and so I mean, and that's fair even on the mother sheep's part too.
yeah, yes.
She would do anything to protect that child
Mhm.
too. And this moment where she screams at that sheep is very, to me, just kind of like part of the animal world, you know? Like, I'm going to establish dominance over you right now. This is my kid now. Get away. And now they're just like a weird, happy couple. Farm couple with
Yeah.
their lamb
baby.
their lamb kid.
Instantly, that was a shift in their relationship. They were
Yes.
getting more intimate by just, it didn't even seem like she had put her head on his shoulder for like a year or two or however long
Mhm.
they've lost their child for. They haven't even had that moment
I know.
of
You
intimacy.
could kind of see the love in both of them kind of just come back to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That we did not get to experience in the beginning.
No, I think the only physical contact they had at one point was her just kind of doing this to him
Yeah.
as like she like left, and that's it. That's it. We don't see anything else, even though we've seen them lay in their bed multiple times.
Yes.
Very.
Just, I'm gonna go to bed now. It's
Don't roll onto my side again.
Yes.
Mhm.
On to chapter 2. It's hard to tell how much time has passed. I mean, this Ada is definitely more like a toddler, like walking around on
yes.
their own, and I mean, it starts kind of like idyllic, where they're in a flower field, and Maria's
Oh,
like
it's
making a little
so
flower
cute.
crown.
It was very cute.
And you can tell like they're both happy, you know, they're both very content with their little life that they've got, even though it's kind of against the laws of nature, but they're okay with it. This is their life, you know, this is the life that they've chosen, and they're happy with it,
Yeah.
Yep.
and they're alone, so it's kind of like who's
gonna tell him no?
Yeah.
yeah,
Who's gonna tell him this isn't right?
yeah.
Exactly.
And in the background, we kind of have this. I kept writing him down as a stranger until he got to the farm.
Yes.
He gets. This car pulls over in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere, and they take this guy out of a trunk and then just leave him there, and then they drive off.
I
Yeah,
had
and
so
they, like,
many questions.
Chuck his phone.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm assuming. Well, we then later find out who he was
It's
or who he is.
Peter, the Ingvar's brother.
And
Ingvar's
yes,
brother.
he has a band, and he is the main, like, singer.
Yeah.
The lead of
Yes.
this band. So I'm just assuming this guy's an asshole. He's crossed them so many times that they're tired of it.
Yeah.
They just don't want to deal with it.
They made
anymore.
a comment about him not paying people back for things too. I remember catching that really quickly.
Yeah. He's very much like this loose cannon, kind of goes with the wind kind of guy.
Bad boy.
He had a leather jacket.
He did.
He seems like, he's got this band, but he's probably had like other like weird like business ventures he's been in, and probably like borrowed money from them, and he just kind of blows into town whenever he needs a place to crash, essentially. And this is one of those situations, obviously. He's at the end of his rope with his band, and they just leave him in the middle of nowhere. Maria wakes up, and the mother sheep is right outside their window baaing at its child again, and she grabs a shotgun and goes out there and shoots it.
That was sad.
And pretty mercilessly. Just like, there's a moment of her just raising the gun, we look at the sheep, and then boom, one in the head. Yeah. And then she buries her.
Buries the animal,
which is interesting.
Her livestock, the thing that they get money for its meat and for everything else, and she chose to kill this animal that, before then has shown tenderness towards, and she had absolutely no remorse and no sense of nothing. She just wanted the problem gone.
I think it was because she was like, this is my baby, not yours, which I think was kind of harsh a little bit on Maria's part, because it was also her baby. It was also the mom sheep's baby, but what can the sheep do? Nothing.
Well, and then
other than stand by the window.
Stand by the window and then get freaking buried.
And that act of burying, it's kind of like, you can try to bury your wrongdoings, but they're going to come back again. And this is a moment, where Maria has made the choice of, I'm going to take your baby and then I'm going to bury the truth of where it came from. This is my baby now. I'm the mother. You're not the mother anymore. And so that kind of, she murders the mother and then buries it underneath the ground where they are going to start growing things. So it's going to come back. It's eventually going to come back. I think that also Ingvar is willing to do enough accepting and burying of the truth on his own part too. Because I think what's nice about having the brother character come in is he comes in and his reaction to seeing Ada for the first time is, quiet shock. There's not much like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? But he's definitely like, when he sees Ada for the first time, you can tell he's definitely looking at her like, what the fuck is that? And he even asks Ingvar a little later in private, what the fuck is that? And he's like, there's nothing really to say. This is our life that we've chosen.
Yeah, but he answered with saying happiness.
Oh, yes. Yes. Said, what the fuck is that?
What the fuck is that? And he says, happiness. With like a smile in his face.
Yeah.
He's just like happy that his brother's there to like see their child.
Yeah.
Like, they were both very fucking happy and they were not concerned at all.
The important thing is, like, they weren't going to let anyone else ruin that for them, too. Like, they finally have a child, this thing that they've wanted for a while, and I think also something that they view as something that will fix their relationship with each other, too. You're not going to fuck that up. No. You're not going to come in, blown in from the wind of whatever failed enterprise you just came from, and ruin this for us. Like, you can stay here, but this is our life. Don't you try to ruin this. So Ingvar's got his own level of like swallowing the truth and accepting this thing in exchange for having his old life back.
Yes.
But I think the brother, I mean, in this second chapter kind of has his own journey of accepting the child too.
Yeah.
At a certain point. He says that thing is an animal, It's not human at a certain point.
Yeah, you're playing house with an animal.
Yes.
Mhm.
Ada has this like Mulan moment by the lake,
Yes.
and she's just like, "Who is the girl I see?" And I think this is when she's like, "Oh, I don't look like others." I think she's starting to like grow
Yeah.
and like have her thoughts and really like question her existence a little bit.
A little bit, because yeah, you're right. She can see what she looks like in the reflection of the water, and then she looks at her parents and her uncle, and we don't look alike. They all look
No.
alike. There's a shot that from Ada's perspective of all them together working in the field, and then she's looking at herself like, shit, I don't look like them.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
And then like the dog is reacting different towards her too.
Mhm.
She was like, "Huh, why is he acting like that towards me?"
Yeah.
You know, which she probably just was like piecing together of like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I kind of loved, though, was that even though Ada was different and looked different, she still loved Maria and Ingvar and
Mhm.
Peter so much. Like, you could just see it, like, her laying on them and holding their hands, and she loved them so much. It was
Yeah.
actually very sweet to
Yeah.
watch.
And they loved her too.
Yeah.
They really did
They
accept
accepted her. Yeah.
completely. And it took the uncle a little longer to accept, but ultimately I think that he sees what Ada brings to them, which
Yeah.
is happiness. You know, like the brother in the second and third chapter for the most part, or I'm sorry, Ingvar is smiling. Like he
Yeah.
like doesn't stop smiling.
He doesn't stop.
Even when he's just like laying there, just like saying nothing, he's like
He's just smiling.
so happy. So happy. And
So very happy.
I think that no matter how unnatural it seems to Peter, he does eventually accept that Ada is at least bringing them happiness.
Yes.
And it's not until he doesn't really discover that until one day he gets Ada from their parents' room. Gets
Parents
the
were
rifle,
sleeping.
the same fucking rifle that was used to shoot her mom.
Mm-hmm.
We're going down the same fucking door that Maria took to kill the mom.
Yep.
And then he takes her all the way to a little area field. And then he aims at her, and she's just looking back at him just like very lovingly.
What did I do?
What is going on? And then we get Maria's fucking waking up from her room, her bed, and she's like, "Where's Ada? Where's Ada?" And she starts like looking for her, and then we get this lovely shot of Peter with Ada sleeping in the love chair, and it's like, now we got acceptance.
Yes,
Everyone-
he accepted her.
Yes. We're all on board now of
Yeah.
this, and it's okay. And I think Peter has that moment of thinking, well, it's not the kid's fault.
No.
It's not the kid's fault.
Also, it's a living thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's an animal or a human, in this case both, but like it's still a living
Absolutely.
thinking thing.
Mhm.
So I think that's what he ultimately saw.
And I think he was able to... That was enough for him, I guess. He was like, okay, well, at least my brother's happy, and at least they can raise this... They can at least raise her to have some sort of happy life, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's the end of chapter 2.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
We enter with Maria just having this quiet, peaceful moment, and then we see her crying.
Yeah.
Just like a single tear or so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we pull back and we realize she's at a small little cemetery that says Ada on the gravestone that she's looking at.
Yes.
To me, that's a real baby. A human baby.
That's a human baby.
I thought something totally different. Like, I didn't know that. I didn't even think. I thought maybe I missed something when Leslie was saying that. Like, it kind of symbolized that they had lost their other baby. Because I saw 3, like, gravestones, right? Or 3 little crosses. My thought process was there were 3 other, like, lamb babies.
Mm.
But I don't think that I'm accurate in that.
I mean, I don't know, because this is the whole thing about the weirdness of this movie, because when the lamb/human baby is born, they are surprised, but they don't seem like totally
Right?
out of their mind shocked of like, oh my god, what the fuck is
I
that?
would
Like,
have.
maybe
Right.
this has happened before.
Right.
Mhm.
It almost seemed a little too familiar to them.
Yes.
So I think it's absolutely possible that they've tried other lamb/humanoid babies before.
Yeah.
But I do think ultimately it stems from this thing of them losing a child.
Definitely.
So I think at some point Ada was a human child that they had, but unfortunately lost. And they're trying to live vicariously
Recreate it.
through
Yeah.
this lamb child, which is
Mhm.
there with her
Yeah.
in this scene at the cemetery. So, and she's like, let's go, Ada. And I was just like, oh man, poor child. They're just
I
trying to
know.
replace
Yeah.
their baby with a baby that they've stolen. And it's just like, oh God. It's not the baby's fault. I just
It's
feel bad
not.
for that lamb baby the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. This is all the parents' trauma. We have Ingvar reading bedtime stories to sleeping Ada, and then he kind of goes into this flashback of him running towards the camera in this like
Yeah.
really shallow, sandy plain, and he's like running towards the camera, and then he just screams, Ada! And then he kind of comes back into the moment. They lost a kid.
Yeah.
They lost a kid. For sure.
Had
At the
to.
lake.
Had
At
to.
the lake.
Yeah.
At the
And-
river.
At the river, yeah. Which
At the river.
adds to this whole like imagery of them looking in the water.
Mhm.
So like water is what kind of started this whole thing. Just in general, because
Yeah.
their kid probably drowned or something
Something.
happened like that. But yeah, we won't think about that. We have our own lamb child now that we have
Right.
to just deal with. And, you know, Uncle's accepting of little Ada now. So they go
Mhm.
off on a little, like,
Little
fishing,
adventure.
Yeah, little
little
fishing.
adventure. And while they're out, I mean, Ingvar and Maria have a little
Ooh,
date.
got a little spicy.
Oh, spicy in bed. They needed it.
They
They
totally
needed
did.
But I was like, is she into this?
It's like, we totally thought she might have been thinking of Peter.
Mhm.
Seemed like it. Like, they were, like, kind of getting into it, and she kind of seemed like she took a second longer to get into it than he did, you know?
Yes.
Is she all there?
I
I
don't
mean, she's the one, I think, that was talking about going to the past. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. She's struggling with, obviously, her child.
Yes.
But also, like, what were the things that led to that? They were both out. They were probably both working on the farm or whatever was going on. There's this whole thing, too, that she's probably cheated with Peter before. So
Mhm.
she's literally stepped out on Ingvar and maybe their other original Ada. So there's probably some sort of blame and guilt tied with that, too.
I wonder if the cheating happened after the loss of the baby.
Mm.
I think from their trauma. So like I feel like even if Ingar Ing would have I'm giving up. I think because he didn't seem all that like upset that like Maria seemed to be very comfortable around Peter, and I'm just thinking either he's also just burying the truth. He's just not even going to question it.
Could be oblivion, too. Like,
Very oblivion.
oblivious.
Very like very sis.
Sis.
Sus.
Sus.
Like
no, not
suspect?
suspicious.
No.
No.
Oh, no.
Sub.
Sub.
Yeah.
Where he was just like, whatever. Nothing's going on. He's my brother. I love him, and I
Yeah.
love Maria, and they love each other. But it's like,
What a great situation.
Yeah.
oh
This is awesome.
yes, this is great.
Yeah, it's, you know, I feel like it's probably a little bit of both. You know, he
Could
doesn't
be.
want to see the truth. He doesn't want to see the truth, so we can ignore it.
Yeah.
It's fine. And, you know, like, he's got what he wants. You know, he's getting laid, and he's got his kid, and he's got his brother who's, like, taking care of the kid. It's kind of like happy life.
I
Yeah.
know.
You know, and there's this moment where, I mean, they're watching handball, and then the dog senses something is wrong outside, and he goes off, and Ada follows him, and it's like around the corner, like behind the barn or something.
Mhm.
They're both looking at something, and in the reflection of Ada's eyes, you can see like a man beast thing standing in front of her.
And then that same.
It's that same heavy breathing,
Yeah.
and she runs away and immediately goes and looks in her reflection, and that's, I think, a moment of her being like, "Holy shit! I just saw someone
Is
who
that
looks like
what
me."
I'm gonna look like when I'm older?
Mhm.
It was
It's like this
who is
identity
this?
crisis of
Yeah.
like, wait a second, I thought that was my mother and father, but I look more like this person. I want
Because-
to know. Can you show me? I want to know about the strangers like me.
Because after she looks at herself in the mirror, they stop playing or like stop watching handball, and they put Peter's like video, and they start dancing to it.
Yes.
And then Maria goes to her, and she's like, "Do you want to dance?" And she's like, "No." And then she's like, "Come on, let's dance." And you can see that like they're all dancing, having a lovely time. But then she like separates herself from them and looks at them, and she's like, "I can't have this. I'm not like them."
Yeah, and that whole scene of them watching sports, she's like very much, Ada's like very much in the corner, and
She's in the front.
she's in the front at first, and,
And
then
then
she
she
kind of
moves
goes to the
over.
corner. She feels, I think, that's really when she starts to feel isolated.
Maybe
from
like
them.
excluded. Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
she's
like an
not sure
outcast.
what's happening.
Yeah.
But again, not her fault.
No.
She's an outcast because she's already like half animal. So how could she relate to sports or
Yeah.
dancing? You know, it's not her fault.
No.
Yeah.
And then seeing that half man, half beast kind of just confirms, holy shit, I am different than them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're off in the getting Ingvar's drunk ass to bed too, because they're like playing handball, like super drunk in their house, and then they get him to bed, and we got a private moment with
Maria and Peter.
Maria and Peter, a super amount of Erst going on, unresolved sexual tension.
Yes.
And she's like holding back, but then like what gets her to like finally get with him is Peter asking, does Ada know that you killed her mother? And then Maria's in. I was like, that's an interesting
It was.
line.
Well, I think it has to do more with the fact that, well, she is afraid of losing her child.
Mm-hmm.
So even just emotionally, she doesn't want to disturb this beautiful moment. But also, I think she's afraid of him saying something to Ink.
Yeah.
Because,
Or
like, she
even-
hasn't told her.
Or even
Him.
to Ada. Like, what if Peter was going to tell Ada about Maria killing her mom?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And that could basically turn Ada maybe officially to go with the man that looks like her.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so maybe to shut him up,
I mean, definitely
Just
to
to-
shut him up.
to hook up
I
with
mean,
him.
she did lock him downstairs right off.
It's like a
Yeah.
hook up, fake out. Yeah.
Right?
So,
She like kissed him a couple times and then was like, boom.
Yeah.
lock you in the closet.
Bye.
Yeah.
Right? It was like it looked like a downstairs basement closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she just goes and plays piano.
Well, because he keeps like banging and just being like, Maria, Maria. So she's
Mhm.
like, everybody is asleep and I'm gonna play the piano because this is louder.
Yes.
And this is definitely gonna.
Yes.
I don't know why nobody woke up.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Ada was laying on Ingvar's chest as he was sleeping drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very sweet moment, but you could kind of see that Ada was looking at a photograph hanging in front of their bed of a herd of sheep. And I think she kind of realized, like, oh, that's,
This is what they
This
do
is what- this
with
is-
people that look like me.
yeah.
Because then we're zooming in towards this what looks like historical photograph of perhaps like what they've been doing, like their family,
They're
you
sheep
know.
herders, yeah.
Yeah. So like we're zooming in and you just keep hearing sheeps and just like this moment play out. So you hear the dogs barking at the sheep, and the people like also moving along and stuff. And she just like is just staring at this, and she's like, "Fuck, I'm not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them.
I'm the sheep, and they're the herders in that picture.
Yeah.
And they're in control. I mean, it's like a very super crowded, cramped picture. You know, there's so many sheep like almost on top of each other. It looks like really uncomfortable and scary for the sheep.
Yeah.
And the humans are just, this is our business, you know?
Yeah.
Get them in there.
Yeah.
And that's probably terrifying for Ada, because am I just going to be one of them? There's just more shots of just like, this is when I wrote down, again, just the vastness of where they are. It felt super alone, super in the middle of nowhere. The mountains are the only things that are around them. Literally. And then Maria and Peter go off because she's going to take him to leave.
Yeah.
He's getting on the bus.
We do get a shot a little bit before this. Dog is dead.
Oh, yeah.
Dog confirmed dead.
Because he did run towards this creature, and then we just hear a and then bonk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you two were like, I swear to fucking God, if this dog dies. And I was like, oh no.
I hate
no.
movies where the dogs die. It
I know.
hurts.
And I
Just
think
trying to protect them.
yeah,
know.
and that's the reason why a lot of like dogs end up dying in these kind of movies is because the dog is a man's best friend. It's our, trusty companion. He was alarming everybody when something was going on that was wrong.
Yeah.
And they would listen for the most part. So we couldn't have this dog around to like kind of be like, hey, there's somebody out here. Because the cat is just curious and he's just like, just looking and just kind of enjoying everything that goes by.
Well, and cats mean omens too. So it's like every time we saw that
True.
cat and we saw Ada holding the cat at one point.
Yeah.
Every time I saw the cat, I was like, yikes. Bad omen. Things are bad.
Yeah,
the dog dies. Cat's around.
Because even though the dog wasn't completely afraid of Ada, I'm pretty sure at some point the dog also was like, well, you look like the thing that I'm hurting and keeping in there.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they allowing you, So I think at one point when he was like this towards her, it wasn't because he wanted to attack her, but I think he was just like, what do I do with you?
Right.
Why aren't we putting you in there?
Mm-hmm.
So, but with the cat, she got won over. I don't know if the cat is a girl or boy, but the cat got won over by Ada.
Yeah.
And I think the cat was like, yeah.
That was a very funny shot when he was holding the cat at the dinner table.
Yeah.
It was very cute.
Yeah,
it was very cute.
Yeah. And because that's the scene where Ada brings Ingvar toast because he's hungover, and it's this very sweet, like, father-daughter moment, It's like, and he's happy too. This is another moment where he just all smiles.
Yeah.
All smiles. Life is great. Happy wife, happy kid, happy life.
Happy life.
And then he's like, "You want to go? Let's go fix the tractor.
Yeah.
Let's go fix that darn tractor that broke down in the middle of the road."
Mm-hmm. And Maria is dropping Peter's fucking ass at the bus
train bus station.
Bus station, and they don't say much.
No.
He just turns around towards her, and he was like, Peter, and he's like, I know, and then she just says, Ada is a gift. It is a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then he was just kind of like, all right, then this is over. I know where you're trying to say this is over.
Yeah. Do you think that? Okay. Yeah. That's like her essentially
breaking it off,
and then
it's like, we'll never do this again.
Yeah. I think maybe there was Peter had a little bit of hope that like Maria would eventually run off with him one day, maybe, or like be with him one day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her kind of grabbing his stuff and saying, "Hey, I'm taking you to the bus station." What do I keep bus station and just being like handing him some money and saying, "This is our miracle. We are happy." Like I think is telling Peter, "Sorry,
Like,
we're done.
no.
We're done."
Yeah, we're
It's
done.
over.
Because
Yeah.
she pretty much shut him down pretty much every time that he was
Mhm.
there. She,
Mhm.
you know, he tried grabbing her waist and her hand and tried kissing her, and she was just like, "We can't."
He's
And in
like,
some
what are
way-
you doing?
Yeah, and in some
Right.
way, it's a test, I think, for herself of
Yeah.
like, can I let go of the past? He was a part of her past that she wanted to forget and wanted to get rid of. And so there was, like you said, there were certain moments where she was tested that he definitely wanted her, but she kept pushing him away,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually made the decision,
No,
you're gone.
you're gone.
So
You're
that was
Because-
almost like a
yeah.
test that she passed for herself.
Yeah,
Because when she was driving back, she was smiling.
Yeah.
yeah.
She was
And
she
I
was
think
happy.
She was happy for the future,
And she
which
was-
I think it was bleak and it was just, I don't know, just very content. It was just
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
not moving forward, but not moving back.
Yep.
They were just very at this like place where I think they had done as much healing as they could
Mhm.
have together. But then finally, both of them are just like the happiest they've been
Yeah.
in a while.
Well, and ultimately, it just becomes a not accepting of the past.
Yes.
Because Ada was a replacement for
I don't know.
their baby. Yeah, their baby that
Yeah.
they
You
lost.
can't name a baby after a dead baby.
Not a good look.
No, it's just so hard
Yeah.
for yourselves and for the baby.
That, I mean, that fact alone is clearly states that they're not over this.
No.
Barry,
Yeah.
Barry.
But
We don't
it's
have
that, it's that
feelings.
kind of like just
Yes.
trying to be stable.
hmm We're so content. It's gonna be great.
It's so great. I'm
So
so
great.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
You
I'm
happy?
happy.
I'm
I'm
happy.
happy.
I don't.
I'm happy.
Don't I look happy? And then
Without
this,
saying a word.
and this final scene, I mean, it's kind of sweet. Ingvar and Ada walking to the tractor. He's like explaining how she can always find her way home.
Yes.
Always-
Following the river. So it's another reason or healing in his way.
Make
where-
sure that she knows how to get home
Mhm.
every time.
But
'cause
also he
maybe
can
the other daughter didn't know how to.
didn't know
Mhm.
how to,
Got
or
lost.
maybe he did tell her, but then I don't want to call her a dumbass, but the little baby might have just fallen into the river
Yeah.
Yeah.
when she was like, "Dad told me to follow the river."
Oh.
And you followed it too deep, buddy.
Yeah. Too much,
Too
Ada.
much, Ada.
Too much.
But
And he even at the end of that says, and when there's thick fog, well,
Good luck.
good luck. Yeah, because like maybe there was incredibly thick fog that day that their baby got lost, and it
I didn't even
was
think about that.
they had no chance. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, when they found Ada with the mama sheep, it was thick fog. Remember, it was so
it totally was.
you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Ah, I'm all
Yeah.
putting things together.
They're coming together.
Coming together.
Coming together. And then they're fixing the tractor. Things are going great. Ada's chilling on the side.
Yeah.
Mom's driving back up. It's gonna be a happy family. And she comes home, and then we hear a gunshot off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, what the? Starts running towards it, and then we see just a shot of Ingvar just holding his neck, blood spurting out, and
Then he gets shot again.
Then he gets shot again.
I don't know if it was in the
Yes.
side or where, but we didn't see who was shooting him. You just saw him bleeding.
Yep.
I'm assuming it was a stomach shot because
Yeah.
stomach shots you can't really come out of that.
Pretty fatal.
Got a neck
Yeah.
one and a stomach one. It's
Mhm.
not looking too good for
Not
you.
looking good.
Mm.
And
Whammy.
it was really sad because he's just laying on the floor bleeding out, and
Yeah.
Ada's like on top of him, sad, like really scared and concerned, obviously. And then we get the reveal of the man sheep, the ram man,
My
Giant,
man.
ram man.
tall, scary, hairy,
Yeah,
very like man hair. Like
Yeah, and it's for him. It's just the head,
it's
yes,
just the head of a
the
ram.
head.
just the head. He has a full man body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of this reveal of, this is daddy. This is daddy.
You're not dad. I'm dad. I'm taking you out.
Mhm.
Just the same way Maria did with the mom.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's almost kind of like you kind of got what you had coming for you.
Mhm.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely, because he's doing the exact same thing that she took their child and then killed the mother. He's now taking their child back and killing the father. So it's kind of like eye for an eye. This is how it works
totally.
in the animal world.
He, like the big ram guy, was kind of trying to grab Ada from Ingvar, and he grabbed his hand, and it almost looked like Ada was going to go with him. But they were like holding hands, and it was like, oh, it was so sad. Like Ingvar and Ada, and it was just so sad when he was trying to pull him back, but he was too weak too.
Yeah.
Broke my heart a little bit.
Yeah, and it, like, she saw, like, this is when we see that she loves them a lot.
She like wasn't.
She didn't want to leave, but
No.
at the same time, she kind of didn't fight the man,
No.
Ram guy, because she's just like, I guess this is my real dad, but like,
does she know any better? Like, she wasn't, like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, not at all.
does she know who to go with? Like,
she's like, what, 2.5 years
right?
old
I was
or
like, we
something?
never really established how old she was, but
Yeah,
young.
yeah, very young.
Yeah.
3 maybe.
I mean, on a certain level, obviously, she knew that this ram guy was her people, you know,
Yeah.
like, because she had that moment of self-reflection and seeing her reflection and knowing that we look alike more than I look like my mother and father. But again, it's not Ada's fault that she's caught in between this like parental feud, you know, like she's just being whipped back and forth, like from family to family.
Poor thing.
Poor
Yeah.
thing, you know, and it's.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that is how, like, the orphanage or adoption goes, is that, like, if the parents are still alive of this child and they just, like, get taken away because the parents are doing drugs or whatever, and then they end up getting clean and they want to have the child back, but, like, who's the actual parents now?
Yeah.
Like, the actual biological parents or the adoptees, you know? So,
Yeah.
in
And
the eye of the government, it's your biological
Yes.
parents that are then your actual parents. But like, I think that shouldn't matter if the people are just not a good influence or were even there for your life. Like, it's whoever's loves and cares for you.
True.
And I feel like, very rarely do they think about what's actually best for the child. It's more about these technicalities of like, you're going here because this is what the law says. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just really sad. And the whole movie, I just feel bad for her and her situation. And even at the end of the movie, when she's being taken by someone who is presumably like of the same hybrid that she is, I'm still scared for her. You know, I'm still like, I hope she turns out okay.
Yeah, like what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
it kind of left us on a little cliff note, a little bit.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. Why did I say cliff note?
Yeah.
Cliff notes.
Cliff
Notes were fantastic for when you didn't want to read a book.
Thank you. You got me through high school.
Thanks. Cliff
Yes.
Notes.
And we are left with Maria all by herself.
Yeah.
I mean, she finds Ingvar and she's distraught. She's screaming. She's crying. My love. Yeah, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Almost like saying that to herself, you know?
Right.
She's lost her husband. She's lost her baby replacement. And now she's completely alone.
Yeah.
Alone.
Completely alone. And there's that last shot of her, like, dressed in all dark. Her hair is dark, too. And she's just, like, in this shot of white fog. And she's just... I thought of the black sheep amongst all the white sheep, you know? Completely alone, isolated.
Yeah.
And she's, like, looking at us.
I almost thought she kind of was crying and then stopped crying, almost like she realized what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know if that's what actually happened or not, but she kind of looked in the direction where they were taken, where Ada was taken. And it's almost like it had happened before. Or she kind of just knew the dad of Ada had come back to get her.
Mm-hmm.
It did seem like she didn't like run off and try to look for her again
No.
like
No.
they did before.
Yeah.
So I think they knew what they were getting themselves into
Mhm.
and then knowingly took the baby
Yeah.
for themselves and were like, well, this is ours now. We'll deal with whatever the consequences are because they were so desperate to have a replacement for their dead kid.
Just super selfish.
Yes, yes. And it kind of goes back to like this idea of like almost like a folklore fairy tale kind of
Yeah.
cautionary tale that we just watched of a couple, betrays a magical being or some sort of like godlike being, and then they're punished for it. And her punishment is to be alone. His punishment is to die.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. Lamb.
Lamb man.
Lamb, man.
Lamb man.
Lamb,
Ram-
man. Shit, man.
Ram man.
All right, well, let us get to some Smash Pumpkin ratings.
Yes.
Yahoo for Lamb 2021. Kenna, let's
Am I
start with
going
you.
first?
Let's see what you
Let's
got.
do it.
You said it's out of 5, right?
Out of 5.
Yes.
Out of 5. Okay.
And you can go down to like 3.1, 3.2. Like you can go to points.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking 3.5.
3.5.
Yes.
Nice.
So I'm glad you said that because I was thinking I really did enjoy it, but I did have a lot of questions. But also I kind of like that I had a lot of questions.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Nice.
I
Very cool.
was also thinking 3.5.
Whoa,
Twins.
3.5.
Yes. Because although I did love it and it was a beautiful shot,
Yes.
like its cinematography was beautiful. I do have a lot of questions, and I feel like perhaps we could have. I mean, I know that perhaps this is it didn't want to reveal a lot,
For sure.
and that was just like the what they wanted to say was what they gave us. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish there was just a little bit more, just a bit
I
more
agree.
to kind of just confirm or just kind of, I don't know, continue some more,
wrap
like,
it up.
yeah,
Like,
wrap it up
some
or
more answers.
give us a little bit more like questions that then we can like put together.
Mhm.
It kind of like left us in a cliffhanger. And I wish that could have been said a little bit more, or for Ada to like have come to the stable and just kind of looked at the sheep at some point and been like, huh, like why am I out here and you're in here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. I'm okay with it. The script not being so full. I like the silent moments a lot. So that wasn't a problem to me, but a little bit more shots that will confirm a bit more of our theories.
For sure.
And I agree with that too, for sure. I think that, especially when you have kind of this like supernatural element that's going on, I like the lack of information because we then try to fill it with our
Yes.
own interpretations. But having of just like, I don't know, like where did that man lamb guy come from?
Yeah.
Like where did that
It's
come
very
from?
random.
Yeah.
It is seemingly random.
Give us
but
more
I'm okay.
imagery or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't tell us, but
And I'm okay with it. It almost is like it makes this more of like a day in the life of these people, and we experience this crazy thing with them, and then we get out. And I think that another strong point of this movie was the acting too, because it was so heavily dependent on the quiet moments and the looks and the feelings that we got. Had to be good actors that understood the material and understood the characters really, really well, for us then to understand what was going on without them having to say anything.
Yeah.
So I think that acting-wise, very, very good. And cinematography-wise, very, very good. Very cool.
Very beautiful.
And a very understated film, which I really enjoyed about it. It's funny because I was also going to give this a 3.5.
Oh my gosh!
Trifecta.
wow,
There.
that hasn't happened in a.
No,
Oh,
in a
I
little
was like,
bit.
oh my
Not
gosh.
a bit. Yeah. Wow. Lamb 2021. That was a fun one.
I
Yeah.
liked it.
I
I liked
enjoyed
it a
it.
lot.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That freaking.
Thank you for coming
Oh
on,
my gosh!
Kenna.
Thanks for having me.
The last thing we
Finally.
need you to do
Okay.
is pick the movie for next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
How do I do this?
Here's a list of all of them.
Okay,
And
okay.
just stick
Just
your hand
reach
in
it?
there.
Oh yeah.
Find one that speaks to you.
All right. Oh gosh, you guys have so many in
So
here.
many.
Yeah.
We'll be here
How
for
long
years.
is this supposed to last you?
Forever. Until the end of
Why
You
time.
just keep
Yeah.
putting it in there? Okay.
Until we're 90 years
Oh,
old.
let's see. I think I'm grabbing.
The Deadlights pod. All right,
here
so
it is.
read the description first, and then we'll try to guess what the movie
Oh
is.
shit. Okay. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss. on
Yes,
here.
you. Yeah.
Fuck,
I
don't
know
say
you
that again.
Cunt, suck a dick.
Okay. A committed dancer struggles to maintain her sanity after winning the lead role in a production of Childless Swan Lake.
Ooh, I think we're going to be watching Black
Black
Swan.
Swan.
Suspiria.
Suspiria.
Oh my gosh.
Sexy.
I never saw this one.
Oh, nice.
I started watching it with my brother and dad, and it
Oh, is it not a
very
brother and dad movie?
No.
Not a brother and
No
dad
way.
movie?
No
No,
way.
I was still working at the movie theater when this came out,
Uh-huh.
and we would have to warn all of the seniors, hey, this isn't what you think it is, it's rated R. And they're
Oh,
like,
no.
we're adults. And they would come back and they would be so upset. It's like,
Requesting their money
this
back.
is not what. And I was like, I fucking told
I'm trying to
you.
tell you. It's not.
I'm
trying.
telling you.
It's not just dancing. That's for sure.
It's well, like dancing, but in other ways.
All right. Well, thank you again, Kenna, for
Of
coming
course.
on.
Yes.
Come on back anytime.
Yes.
Anytime for sure. You can find me at Color Me Leslie on Instagram.
And me at BP Pritchie T, and also the Deadlights pod.
Oh yeah,
That's
follow that. Follow
Also
that.
check out Playground Social, which is a studio that we are recording this at.
Mhm.
But until next time, let's get
get
spooky, y'all.
I want a baby now, but I want it to be like part alligator, part horse.